We're gonna talk about that. So, what did we find? Let's check this out. It was good. Well, yeah! What's up? I'm over here in the garage doing a video, and now you're about to be in it. Get your butt over here. Say hi.
Hi.
What are you doing?
I got my baby, my butt, and her drink.
Okay, I'm gonna go do my video, okay? Okay, bye. Bye. Oh, man. This is a good video. Well, maybe not for you, but for me, this is all good news all the way across the board. What's going on, everybody? So as you can see, some things have been flipped upside down, smacked around, and rearranged here in the shop at home. What are we working on now? Well, we're working on kill face. As you know, we have registered for Drag Week 2019, and we have a couple options on what we're gonna take. So this is kind of contingency mode right here. It's our backup, but nonetheless, I'm not gonna sit idly by and wait and find out whether or not I need to take it. So being proactive, vice reactive. But this is the good news I want to talk to you guys about. If you watch the Drag Week 2018 videos, you know we hurt this thing in catastrophic fashion, and I fixed it back in October, fixed the cylinder heads, and we slapped them back on the car, and we went to fire the thing back up. It had tons of blow by. The bottom end of the motor was hurt. And so I parked it, and I just left it alone. I said, you know what? I'm gonna focus on other things like boosting the blue car, boosting the blue truck, and just having fun. Well, race season is upon us in 2019, and I gotta tell you, I got this rash. You wanna take a look at it? I think it's nothing, but it hasn't gone away. It's been like 7 days. What was I talking about? So we pulled the motor out of the thing this week, and we put it on the stand, and we started to dissect it and see what's really going on. It is pretty good news. It's not that big of a deal. This is the hole right here down there that was hurt. And then we pulled this one out here next to it to compare and contrast. And this is what we figured out. You can see right here, this is the good rod and piston. Take a look at that. You see how big the gap is in the rings right there? Okay, it's pretty wide. They're evenly spaced. They're pointing directly at each other. That is a Wiseco piston, all right? And then this is the hole that got hurt. You see how closed up that gap is on the ring, and you see how it is not even close to being even. Like they're coming in at two different directions. So basically what happened here is when the cylinder head, that cylinder leaned out, got crazy hot, torched out the side of the block, and it heated that ring up so much that it lost its tension. It was about the point where it was gonna butt together and melt probably. Think of if you take a blowtorch to a coil spring, the spring's gonna sag. It's gonna lose the ability to hold up the weight that it's holding up. So your rings inside the cylinders of the piston rings are under tension. You heat them up, they're gonna collapse. That's exactly what happened here. The rings collapsed. The rest of the piston appears to be in good shape. A little bit of scuffing on the skirts here, which is completely normal. Check out the bearings though, dude. The bearings look like they've never even been ran, let alone subjected to multiple 8-second passes and over 1,000 miles of abuse towing a trailer all up and down the East Coast while being chased by a damn hurricane. Like, look at this though. So we're filming this on a GoPro, and it has a little bit of a fisheye, but not that much. You see, that is the actual radiator is bowed out and ballooned up. That's how much pressure was pushed into the coolant system when this thing torched the head out. So I already have a set of fresh rings to put in this thing. Bam, Wiseco rings. I ordered these just as a precautionary measure, and I'm glad that I did. I picked these up from BTR over here. We're gonna pull the rest of the rods and pistons off just to check all the bearings, check the main bearings on it, and make sure everything is on the up and up. The oil pan looked really, really good. A little bit of sludge on here, but there's no metal or anything like that down in the bottom of it. The pickup is clean. So we fixed the cylinder heads, and when we fixed them, we had done some additional port work on it, so we should be more power there. I mean, my original goal this year for 2019 was just to fix this car, put it together, and run it in the same configuration that I had it in 2018. As things often do in this hobby, this sport, it kind of spiraled out of control. And again, like I said, I'm in a position where I can kind of capitalize on some stuff right now. So we have a new camshaft from BTR. We're putting the BTR Stage 4 camshaft in there, so we're upgrading this thing to the tip top. And other things we got. This is cool right here. So you guys see the billet specialties on the back of this. These ended up on the car, not because I really wanted them to, but out of sheer necessity. When I put these monster bare brakes on the back of this car, they ended up not clearing the wheels that I originally had on here. And so we picked up these Billet Specialties and slapped them on. I wasn't really seeking out these wheels, but when I got them, I kind of fell in love with them. I really, really like them. But I always had a mismatched set. I didn't have them on the front. But thanks to the folks over at 1320wheels.com, I was able to get these guys. Ooh, look at that. Billet Specialty Street Light 17 by 4.5 inch front runner. Guys, I've always wanted a 17-inch wheel on the front. Ever since 2007, 2008 time frame, when I was working with my good buddy down at Majestic Motorsports, Richard Homer, we built this Supra in his garage / shop, and when we put those on the front, those 17-inch Alumistars, it was the first car I ever saw in person with a 17-inch wheel, I fell in love. I was like, man, I gotta have some of these one day. Fast forward, shit, 12 years now, I finally got a set. And these things look killer. I really want a 17-inch front wheel with an open spoke design because I really wanted to show off these bare brakes. I want to support the companies that support me on this car as much as possible. So putting these on here just made sense, and they match. Now the finish doesn't match, but I got something special coming for that, and I think if it goes the way I want it to, y'all are gonna like it a lot. I'm so stoked on this. That's why there's no tires on this. That's why they're not on the car yet, because these are gonna go to powder coat, and I'm gonna put a custom finish on these things that I think is gonna be just like a game changer. And I don't wanna roll around looking like anybody else. So I want it to stand out from the crowd a little bit, do a little bit of peacocking, if you know what I'm saying. Let's see what these things look like on the car. Check this out. Super light wheel. But yeah, dude, oh, look at that. Would you just look at it? That looks amazing. You see that brake back there? That's an 11-inch rotor. That's not a small guy. And that's a 4-piston caliper. With regards to a street car, man, these things work amazing. And on drag week, they did flawless. Just as the Viking Crusader struts back there on the car. So this is gonna be a good year for this car, man. I'm looking forward to this. Shout out to Derek and the guys at 1320 Wheels. Crazy low pricing and insanely fast shipping. I bought them, I paid for them at like almost midnight, and I had them less than 2 days later. In less than 48 hours, these things were sitting on my doorstep with tires ready to go. So we're gonna take those to the powder coater this week. We're gonna smack a custom finish on it. We're gonna do some cool stuff with the back wheels. And I think it's gonna completely revamp the way this car looks. And I got something in a box right here. Can't tell you what it is. Well, no, I can't tell you what it is because by the time this video comes out, you will have already seen the unboxing video for this. Time Warp. As you can see, because the battery on the GoPro died and now everybody came home. Holley Terminator X Max. This is the Max system. You can go and watch the unboxing. I'll put the link in the description below. I probably won't. It's not your fault. It's just really because of who I am as a person, and it's not really my style to carry out with my promises and fulfill my obligations. This is a Holley Terminator X Max. I bought the X Max with transmission control, even though I don't need it for this car in particular, but in the future, eventually I'm gonna put it on that guy out there, old blue. And I need the transmission control because that car is going to have either a 4L60 if it lives that long, I highly doubt it, or a 4L80. So I want to put that on there when the time comes. I want to keep it in the family with this thing. And the cool part about this system here, if you watch the unboxing again, we're revisiting, it's a little bit redundant. The harnesses are interchangeable. So literally I can just take the ECU out, put the Dominator in, and then configure it, and we're hitting the ground running. No major rewiring required. Other things we are working on, we're cleaning up all the wiring under here, getting it ready to drop the motor back in. And then last and certainly not least, this guy right here. This is my old turbo. I'm not changing the turbo. This is a Billet S484 from Forced Inductions. Jose and the boys over there make some badass bangers of a piece. And you can pick this up from my other boy, John Bewley at Little John's Motorsport Solutions. This thing is awesome. John hooked it up with this. I've been running this turbo now. It's been a while. So 4 or 5 years I've been running this thing with literally zero maintenance needing to be done on it. So it's coming time. You got a little, you can hear it, you can't see it, a little teeny tiny bit of play, a little bit of side to side on the thing. It's a journal bearing turbo and it is dry because it hasn't seen any oil in the thing since October. So it's gonna be a little bit sloppier than normal, but the things are rebuildable at home if you know what you're doing, and they're very, very easy to do. So I went ahead and picked up a rebuild kit. So we're gonna freshen up the turbo to make sure everything this year has its best chance at survival. I want 0 points of failure on this car, and I want to be able to race my ass off with this thing and not have to do anything but put gas in it and change the oil and press the mother up arrow. So we will see how it goes. Anyway, well, let's fast forward like another week or so now. So we have torn the motor down completely. I think I showed you that last week. I gotta go back and review all the footage because I've just been compiling this whole rebuild here. And then some other things when I pulled the motor apart that I found that had me a little bit concerned. I went over this as well, but the lifter here, the plunger fell apart when I pulled it out. And then when I tried to find the clip, because I was like, well crap, where's all the pieces? Everything in this motor looks great. Thankfully, I located it right there. It's stuck inside the lifter bucket. So, I went ahead and gave the folks over at Brian Tooley Racing a phone call, and they hooked it up with these Johnson short travel link bar lifters. Oh, son, these are sick. If you want to turn some serious RPM, you want to take your LS valve train pretty serious, these are legit. They got little snap rings inside of there to make sure the guts stay inside of it. So we're gonna put those in an oil bath, get them soaking a little bit, and we're gonna get this motor thrown together today. Okay, so the lifters are in. We have soaked them in a little tiny bath of oil. I don't soak them overnight and do anything crazy like that. There's a lot of schools of thoughts over how to prepare your lifters. But what's worked for me in the past is just dunk them in a bath of oil for a little bit, get them kind of partially filled up. The problem with these is, with a hydraulic lifter, especially in the LS world, is if you soak them for a long time, and I've seen this happen with LS7 lifters, and a lot of people freak out. When you soak your lifters, you put them on the motor, you put the heads on it, you put the valve train together, and then when you go to start tightening down all the valves and the rockers, then every single valve that you tighten down, even if it's sitting on the base circle and the camshaft, is gonna crack open. Well, that's because the lifters are so pumped up with oil that they can't bleed down, and they're gonna hang the valve open. Eventually the spring pressure is going to bleed them down. If you don't know how a hydraulic roller lifter or just a hydraulic lifter in general works, well, Google it, because there's not enough time in this video for me to explain that to you. That's why I don't soak these things for a crazy amount of time, just enough to get them lubed up. I'd rather let the oil pressure get to them and pump them up. They'll be fine on the initial startup. I'm not worried about these things breaking in. Now, I got oil all over the deck surface of the motor. I have to prepare this thing to put the head gaskets on. And the way that I do it, and my personal preference, is I like to get this thing as clean as I possibly can. I'm talking like white glove inspection. You wipe your hand across it, you wipe a rag across it with acetone or brake cleaner on it, and nothing should come off of it. It should be that clean, that perfect, that dry. I do the same thing to the cylinder heads, and then I assemble everything dry as a bone. I'm gonna go ahead and start cleaning this bad mamma jamma up, and then we're gonna slam on those BTR LS9 gaskets, and we'll get this thing buttoned up on the top end and measure for some pushrod length. Long block complete, put together, done deal. Now we're trying to figure out the pushrod length for these Johnson short travels. Unlike the OEM stuff, and don't just go out there and throw like a standard 7400 pushrod at this. Like everybody will tell you, like, oh, you're gonna cam an LS1, put a 7400 pushrod in it, LS7 lifters, and just slap it all together, line up the dots, and your money. 99.9% of the time, that's going to work with most applications. However, if you're gonna run an aftermarket lifter, like these Johnson short travels, these things, they're not the same length as a factory GM lifter, so you have to actually check for the preload. And because it's a short travel on the plunger, it's extremely sensitive to too much or too little preload. Too little, it's gonna make a racket and you're gonna make a ton of noise. Too much, it's gonna bottom out, it's gonna hold the valves open, and you're gonna be down on power. Logan figured all of this stuff out the hard way, and you can't just check one, you have to check all or some. I got nothing but time, so I'm gonna go ahead and check all 16 valves just because, I'm just my curiosity, so I'm gonna write them down, but here's how we do it. My Allen key. Did y'all take my Allen key? It's in the pocket. The pocket. Man, I love Dickie shorts, but dude, these, I always lose stuff in that phone part. What is this? Paint samples. My kids, man. Take your kids to the hardware store and they love the paint samples because they think they're getting stuff for free. Okay, so how are we gonna check for our push rod length? So first and foremost, you need to make sure that you have the tools to do so. A push rod length checking tool and also something to measure this tool with. Some of the things will tell you like count the turns of it. I don't like doing that. I'd rather just be accurate. I can read numbers right in front of me. So I have this one set. I put it on a flat surface to get it as close as possible to 7.550 inches. And then from there, I take it and I'm gonna put it down onto this guy right there. And now, then you're gonna mock up your rocker here, get the stands so they run flat. You have to make sure that whatever valve you are checking is sitting on the base circle of the camshaft. Unfortunately, because we're up here at the front, I can see down in here and I can see that that thing is on the base circle where it's supposed to be. If you're trying to get it on a point where it's trying to open up the valve, then your measurement's gonna be thrown off. So what you do is you tighten this down until you get 0 lash. You see this, all that movement, that slop, that is your valve lash. It's just tighten it down until it stops, all right? Right there, it's no up and down movement, okay? Now, if anything past here is gonna start to preload the lifter because this is bottomed out and this is bottomed out, so the only thing that can move is the preload on the lifter. So I'm gonna go from here and I'm gonna tighten it down, and it should be, because I've already done this, almost no turns to get it to tighten down. So, and right there, like a quarter turn to push it and get the thing fully torqued down. So I'm gonna add probably, I gotta check the specs on what the Johnson lifter calls for, but that's it. Like, that is torqued down. There's no up and down movement here. I need a little bit more preload, meaning I need to push the plunger down just a little bit more than that. So I'm gonna remeasure my push rod checker length, write that down, add whatever I need to it, and that's it. And then we're gonna move on to the next hole and repeat the process 15 more times. Okay, I've ran through, I've checked everything. I'm gonna go ahead and place some push rods on order tonight, but I wanna give you guys a sneak preview of what this year this motor is gonna look like, because this looks dope. I am so stoked on this. So, for years, I have been in love and obsessed with these things ever since I was a kid. The Moroso old school small block Chevy valve covers, like I love the gold. And I've hunted high and low for somebody that wasn't wanting $1 million for these things. And I really wish I could put these on the car, but they won't clear the brake booster inside of the car. So I had to kind of come up with my own. So this is what this baby's gonna look like this year. Ah, look at that. Beautiful, right? But we're not done. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This year, I will be running the BTR Equalizer 1 intake. Guys, I cannot tell you how excited I am to see what this thing's gonna do this year. And the way that thing looks, dude, it's amazing. Coated it in black, semi-gloss, and then I kind of did like an enamel inlay on there, kind of, I don't know, tip of the hat to the old school Moroso. What do you guys think? Did we nail the look or what? I love it. I think it looks dope. I like to be able to have the car, like, I want the car to like capture your attention and draw it all by itself. And then like when you pop the hood, bam, I want the car to disappear and you just focus in on the motor. So there's gonna be some other, you know, black and gold accents throughout it, but right there's a sneak peek for y'all. I think it looks absolutely bitchin', and I cannot wait to see what this thing's gonna do.